Top of the morning to you. Today I'm looking at stress as a motivation tool, or rather not. I don't know if you've ever done this, but have you ever felt like you needed to do something and you just didn't have it in you to do it, or you didn't want to do it, or whatever, it just wasn't happening? So you just got more and more anxious about it. It still didn't happen, but you just felt stress about the fact that it wasn't happening. I've been exploring that this morning. That's what's going on for me. And it's really interesting how that pattern seems to be automatic and yet entirely non-functional. So here's the story. I had an inspiration the other day that of 3 books, a set of 3 books that I wanted to write. It just came to me in the night, and I knew pretty much how they were going to be laid out and what they were going to be about, and I was very excited because it seemed like the books that I had been preparing my whole life to write, and that they were entirely, they were perfect for me. They were the absolute perfect expression of what I have to offer. And so I was very excited about this. And I even had the titles and everything. And then, before I got, that day when I got up, I had to go to town and do some appointments and that sort of thing. By the time I got home, I was really tired, and I didn't have any forward momentum on it, is what I'm trying to say. And then by the next day, that whole motivation was gone. It was just like gone. And it's been really bothering me because in my mind, that's an exciting thing to do. I was very eager for many reasons to think of having these books. And then but the motivation for writing them, the excitement about writing them was actually gone, and all that was left was sort of an attachment to the result of them, of having them. It's kind of like, I really want to have written the books, but I don't actually have it in me to write the books. So that's not so effective. So I've been looking at that, and I've been watching my stress level increase over the last few days about the fact that I'm not feeling motivated. I'm not feeling the energy inside of me to actually be able to put to that project. So this morning I was meditating on that, and I was doing the meditation where you have the little person sitting beside the higher self in the temple of the heart, meditating, both of them sort of, aiming to meditate. And so my little person is kind of wriggly and restless and frustrated, and the higher self person is just calm and there and witnessing this little person going through all of this stuff. And I noticed, it really became clear to me how I was willing to let this stress build in me. I was more willing to have stress about not writing the books than I was willing to have peace and well-being and happiness and healing today. And that seems crazy when I think about it, when I'm conscious that that's the choice I'm making. Because it's not automatically conscious. What I'm thinking, if you can call it that, is that if I allow the stress to ramp up, this is sort of an unconscious thought, but I'm kind of going along with the stress because if I allow it to ramp up, I sort of think that at some point it's going to click over into motivation and I'm actually going to, do it. It's going to move me, it's going to inspire me to actually create. And that's false on so many levels, not least of which is that when we're working from stress, it is not our best self that's coming through. And the results are not going to be very good. And what we're hoping to receive from that is not going to be very good because it's all coming from a negative energy field, essentially. So we're putting out this negative energy field and hoping to get something positive back, but it doesn't work that way, right? The universe only reflects what we give it. So, on the surface of it, that's really flawed. But underneath that, and it may be different for you, but for me, the more I increase the stress, the less I'm actually going to be able to move forward in it. The stress just becomes the problem that I'm dealing with rather than the motivation or the activity being what I'm actually trying to deal with. So there's also, I could really notice when I was sitting in that little meditation in the center, in the temple of my heart, I could really notice how this little self was choosing stress or anxiety over peace and happiness. Because the reality is, in this moment, I am not writing those books. And I am not going to be writing those books in this moment. That is just not an option for my activity at this time. I don't have it in me. It's not, the time is not right. Maybe it's as simple as that. The time is not right. But instead of allowing that and flowing with reality, I have been choosing to argue with reality and fight with reality and resist what I'm actually going through in hopes of changing it. Oh, does that work? Not very often. Not usually in a beneficial way. So I was coming to a place in my meditation where I was really realizing that, and that I didn't want to. I made a choice in my meditation, and this is really exciting. And it's a choice that I want to be making more and more in my life. I made the choice to, you've heard that saying, I'm sure you've heard that saying, they'd rather be right than happy. Well, it's kind of like that. And I've been, in my meditation this morning, I was deciding that I would rather be happy than doing this thing that I think I should do, or this thing that I think would make me happy. In fact, I'd rather just be happy than stressing about not doing the thing that I thought would make me happy, if you follow what I'm saying. It's like skipping the middle step in a way and changing the focus from the illusion story that I will be happy when something is done or when something happens in the world, to the reality, which is I can be happy just by deciding that I'm going to be happy now. There's even in the worst of circumstances, we can choose that. That's, master level work. But, even in Viktor Frankl in the concentration camps of Germany found beauty in life. And the movie It's a Wonderful... No, what? I'm sorry. What is that movie called? Leave it for now. But anyway, even in the most dire circumstances, we can choose to align with higher energy feelings like happiness and like love. And I have realized in my meditation this morning that I was choosing to align with stress instead, to go along with something my mind was saying should be. This should happen. I should be doing this. And the reality is that I'm not going to be doing that. No matter how much stress I put on myself today, that is not what I'm doing today. So why not choose to be happy anyway? And from that position, I can feel the possibility opening up to allowing those books to come into my reality and come through me to a much greater extent. I still am not making any plans or intentions about doing that today, but I can feel the possibility opening up, and my energy is in a much, more pleasant state for one thing, but also more healing, life-affirming state. My health did not deteriorate because I was in positive states of energy for years. My health deteriorated because I was in states of stress, I think primarily for years. And I'm personally aware. I mean, we know that stress is the major cause of all illness, is underlying, at least in virtually all illness and injury even. But I'm knowing that even on a deeper level, like I'm knowing that in my body, on a visceral level, and an experiential level, that stress makes me ill. Stress decreases my life force energy and depletes me in dangerous ways. So I am getting better at choosing, no matter what the outer circumstance. This is my practice. This is one of my practices. To choose to feel love instead. To choose to feel gratitude, no matter what. I have a kind of a little saying that someday I'd like to make into jewelry as a constant reminder, but even so, gratitude. And just, allowing for happiness, allowing what is to be, because there's this whole release of fighting the universe. When you fight the universe, as Byron Katie says, the universe is always going to win, like 100%. The universe is going to win when you fight it. So instead of wasting that energy and that life and that enjoyment in a fruitless pursuit of fighting reality, I am getting better at allowing reality to be what it is and loving that and saying, that's great, that's okay. In reality, this is probably the best thing that could possibly happen. There's a probably in there because I'm still working on that practice, on that understanding. At some level, I know it's true, and I'm getting better at incorporating it. And it's another level, I'm still, as you can see, not 100% on board. But I have been I've been willing to discover that whatever happens is the best possible thing that could happen. And it's really fun and exciting and gratifying to go into that practice and discover that it's actually true. In hindsight, it was actually the best thing that could have happened. Like that story, this ancient Chinese story, I think it is, of the man whose son broke his leg, and all the villagers were saying, "Oh, it's terrible, it's terrible." And the man is saying, maybe it's a good thing, and maybe it's fortunate. And then the warlord of the place comes through and recruits all of the young men of the village and takes them away forcibly, and only this one boy is left in the village because his leg is broken, and all the villagers are going, "Oh, how fortunate for you that his leg was broken." And it just kind of goes on from there. And I'm finding that things I think are wrong or should be different are turning out to be, if I give it the space, the best possible thing that could happen. So that's where I'm at today. I didn't cover everything I thought I was going to cover, even though I thought this was going to be a 30-second video. We'll leave it at that. And I guess the practice today is to see if you can't welcome whatever happens as the best possible thing that could happen, even if you can't see in the moment why that might be so. And in that way, we stop fighting reality and we get on board with the universe and where the momentum is going and wants to take us. And I think that probably no matter where that universal momentum takes us, it's going to be happier and more fulfilling than sitting here fighting it. So let's try that for today, and I'm sure it'll give us a better day than we would have had otherwise. I will chat with you again tomorrow. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Blessed be.